As a software developer, it's really important for me not to have unnecessary interruptions. And when we moved to using more instant messaging type communication, when we moved to Slack, I could tell that there was a bias because it's easy for the person who's posting to want an answer and to want it quickly. And so I think they gravitate towards the instant message like, hey, I got this, who can help me? That dynamic could actually be really unproductive for us if we've got developers who constantly feel like they're having to answer Slack. It became important to me to define what tools we had available to us for communication and when those tools should be used. So the ones that stick out most to me are GitHub, and we use that for internal issue tracking as well as client project tracking. All of those notifications come by email. Then we have email, and then we have Slack, which is instant messaging, and then I guess you'd have texting too, in there. You need to be really careful about using a communication medium that deliberately interrupts somebody else. So a text message, most of the time people have their notifications turned on for those. So you're gonna notify them immediately when you text. Slack by default also does this, not just for direct messages, but for any channel you participate in. So that's gonna be really disruptive. Email should not notify you. Email should not be something that you're constantly responding to. That should be something that in your day you plan to respond to email. Same thing with Slack. Most Slacks and most channels should not be instant, should not require instant response. And so there's ways to set up Slack so that you only get notifications if you've been particularly mentioned, at my name, at my username, or if it's a direct message to me. And you can begin to implement a policy that says, use the method of least interruption to communicate that's necessary for the moment. Recognizing that most of the things that happen in the company are not urgent, and you have no idea what I'm working on. Most of the time you don't know whether it's important or less important than what you're working on, but just recognizing that responses in terms of hours or days is mostly okay. And if not, then by certainly send a text or at me in something, or DM me in Slack. That's really the core principle. Don't interrupt the person that you're communicating with unless you have a reasonably high expectation that it's worth the interruption.